What is up, YouTube? Remington James here again, and I got a really good video for you today. So if you're watching this about the timeline where you're following my vlogs and what I got going on, it is the Arnold Classic, which is a fitness expo here in Ohio, one of the largest ones in the world. And the only downside, right, to traveling and trying to stay on a healthy diet is finding foods you can eat while you're on the go that aren't completely wrecking your diet. So I actually just went to the store and bought a bunch of items that require zero preparation. You don't have to microwave them, you don't gotta do anything to them. You can eat them as is, they don't need refrigerated, none of that. You can take these with you when you travel on your next vacation, road trip, family outing, whatever you go to, that'll help keep you on point and hopefully prevent you from stopping into the nearest pizza joint and grabbing a pizza and then ice cream after for a dessert. So if you guys are ready to see what I picked up, then I'm ready to show you. Let's do it! As you can see here, guys, we got a decent little array of items. I'm gonna go over them all and kind of touch on each one, why it can be beneficial to you, and so on and so forth. So let's get started. First thing when you're traveling, right, I'm gonna touch on this. Now, these are protein samples I got from the Arnold Classic, but protein powder is huge. Add a little bit of water, you got yourself some protein. That's a meal right there. So if you have individual packets like this, these work really well, but if you don't, just take your protein, put it in a baggie, or I've been known to do this, I'll put it in a shaker, maybe throw some oatmeal down in here with no water, and then when it's time, just add water, shake it up, boom, you got yourself a full meal. So protein powder is huge, guys. If you want my honest advice, make sure you get an isolate protein similar to something like this. That way you're not getting a lot of extra carbs or fat, and you're getting mainly protein. Then if you want to add in carbs or fat, you can, add a little bit of nut butter, add a little bit of oatmeal, something like that. That way you're getting good nutrient dense sources for all those macronutrients. So protein powder is huge, guys. That's a big staple of mine when I travel. Now, these I got from the Arnold as well. Now these aren't really healthy per se, right? But I would say a Lenny and Larry's cookie, they taste amazing, but what you can do with these. So if you look back here on the nutrition label, we have 27 grams of carbs per serving, 2 servings per container. That's 54 grams of carbs, with 30 of that being sugar and only 8 being fiber. So if it was me personally, I know the Dream Whitlatch, old Nate, what he'll do with these is if he's on a low carb diet, right before his workout, he'll eat one. That gives him the carbs he needs. It tastes pretty good. He goes in there, burns those carbs off for his workout, helps him with his pump and all that stuff. And you can time these strategically, make them fit your macros and make them work. But I just had them around. These aren't normally a staple for me, but I figured I'd throw them in here. So moving on, we got white cheddar rice cakes. Now, my thing about rice cakes, right, is that you can get the plain ones if you want, but there's only a 5-calorie difference. So if we look at the back here, we got 9 grams of carbs, only 1 gram of sugar, 1 gram of protein, and half a gram of fat. The regular plain ones don't have that gram of sugar, so they're 1 less gram of carb and they're 40 calories a piece. So for me personally, I'd like to get a little bit of flavor with mine. That way I'm just not munching on a cardboard tasting rice cake. But your personal preference. If you like that type of thing, if you're a cardboard muncher, then go for it. But for me, these are good. Now just keep in mind too, if you go with some of the other flavors, they're gonna be a little bit higher in calories and sugar. I was actually checking out the salted caramel label, and it actually had 3 grams of sugar per rice cake. And I think those were about 60 calories a piece. And not that you couldn't make that fit your macros, but overall, I think if everything, you choose a little healthier version of everything, it all kind of adds up at the end of the day. Leaves you some extra macros left over to play with, am I right? Okay, so now we're moving on to some beef jerky. Now, another thing about beef jerky, it is a little higher in sodium. So if you're watching your water intake and you're trying to go to the beach shredded, maybe hold off on this a little bit. But if you're just looking for high protein filling snacks, beef jerky is great. One thing to look for on this label, my friends, you can look here. We have 80 calories per serving, so only 240 calories in this entire bag. You're getting 36 grams of protein, only 15 grams of carbs, and 3 grams of fat. Now, there's 4 grams of sugar per serving, right? Isn't terrible for this, really, but there's beef jerky brands out there I've found that have almost no sugar or maybe only 1 gram. So if you can find one of those, typically they're your mom and pop brands, not your big name brands like this Kroger here, like a Jack Link's, but this is all I could find at the store when I just went. So this is probably the best option. Some of them had 6-7 grams of sugar, so this was the least sugar option I was able to find. So beef jerky's great, guys. Awesome to just snack on. And like I said, all this stuff, it might not be the healthiest, but this beats eating a donut or getting a pizza or whatever while you are out and about. So moving on, next step is protein bars, right? And preferably these Power Crunch bars. Now the reasoning behind this, let's look at this nutrition label here. For one, these things taste amazing, but two, we have 12 grams of fat, which is gonna be a little higher. My normal Combat Crunches have 7 grams of fat per bar. This has 12, but what it lacks there in fat macros, it's gonna make up for it in how good the carbs are. Only 10 grams of carbs for the whole bar, whereas Combat Crunch has 27, I believe. And then only 1 gram of fiber here, so we get a net 9 grams of carbs and 13 grams of protein. So a little lower on protein, a little higher in fat, but these can fit your macros so much better simply because of the low carbohydrate content. So be on the lookout for these guys, Power Crunch, and they're pretty cheap too. Local Subzillas carry them, so you can go there and get almost every flavor. I personally just got the triple chocolate and the peanut butter cream. They're amazing, but every flavor I've had has been really good. So Power Crunch bars are huge, but other protein bars, one thing to look out for is make sure the sugar's low, the protein's decently high, and you're not getting a bunch of carbs. So just double check that, guys, on protein bars. There's way too many protein bars out there nowadays that claim that they're quote unquote protein bars, but really they're like Cliff bars or Lara bars, however you pronounce those. They're just really high in sugar and just something you don't really need in your diet. So moving on, we got ourselves a Justin's Maple Almond Butter Snack Pack with pretzels. You can buy these also at your local grocery store. Now these are a fairly new item, so I've only had these a few times, but I love these. These would be great for traveling. Get yourself some healthy fat. You get a little bit of carbohydrates in the pretzels, and then you also get some protein and fiber as well, micronutrients in the almond butter. So these are pretty good. And then also too, I have here individual packet if you just simply wanted the almond butter. So this goes with peanut butter. You can buy the whole jar, guys, if you have a little more self-control than I do. If I have a jar laying on, I'm gonna eat that entire jar. That's just how I am. I'm addicted to this stuff. So I gotta stick personally to the smaller portion sizes. That helps me out personally with staying accountable. You know, if you know you have trouble foods, don't buy the entire box, right? Buy a smaller portion. That way, if you do go crazy and binge on it, it wasn't as bad. You know, a whole jar of almond butter is like 2,600 calories. I used to keep those in my house and solo them daily. And yeah, that just wasn't good for anybody involved, right? Even my mom's like, this is gonna go off the rails quickly. So yeah, guys, individual packets here. These are amazing. So if you have, like I said, self-control, get yourself a jar. If not, these individual things will be really good. So especially Justin's, try this almond butter out if you haven't yet. Almond butter is probably my favorite nut butter of them all. Peanut butter getting the honorable mention. Cashew butter is pretty good as well. So moving on. These are essentially high fiber brownies. These are knockoffs of Fiber One bars, guys. So these are a little cheaper version. I'm always looking for the cheaper version to save some money. But we'll look back here at the macros. Only 90 calories a bar, 3 grams of fat, 18 grams of carbs, but 5 of that's fiber. So we get about a net 13 grams there, and then 1 gram of protein. So not bad, guys. Travel snacks. This is gonna be way better than like a Hostess treat or something like that. And especially too, like some of the stuff you're just like trying to give your kids healthier options, right? Something like this is way better than getting like a little Debbie cake or something like that. So these travel really well, by the way. And like I said, none of these require refrigeration, microwaving, any of that stuff. So now moving on, we got Quaker lower sugar, maple and brown sugar instant oatmeal packets. Now, another thing here, these are portioned out, little packets. All you do is add water and you're good to go. Hot water, stir it up, you're good. Cold water even, or mix it with your protein in your shaker, boom, 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 and you have yourself a complete meal. I love this. We go for the lower sugar option because the macros are a little better, but we got about 120 calories a pack, 2 grams of fat. We have 24 grams of carbs, 3 grams of fibers. We get a net 19, but that's a complex carbohydrate source, so really good for prolonged energy throughout the day. Only 4 grams of sugar and 4 grams of protein. So oatmeal's a staple in my diet, guys. These are amazing. I've literally opened these packets up and just chewed on them, literally. I'm a savage like that, but I think they taste really good. And if you don't like regular oatmeal, give these a try because really it doesn't taste like regular oatmeal. It's good stuff. So moving on, got ourselves some nuts. If you've never had these Blue Diamond almonds, they're probably my favorite. Now wasabi and soy sauce is by far my favorite flavor, but nuts are great, guys. They'll fill you up. Healthy fats, got some protein in there, fiber as well, low on carbs. Almonds are really good. Just make sure you're not getting too crazy of a flavor, as some of them have a lot of added sugar. I found that this one, for the flavor, is probably the healthiest one I've found. So wasabi and soy sauce almonds, even if you don't like either one of these, give this a shot, guys. I'm telling you, these are amazing. So just one of those things, keep an eye on your serving sizes, because in this entire canister here, we have 170, 340, 510 calories, 1,000, over 1,000 calories in this thing if my math's right. So you just want to be careful you're not sitting there eating this whole thing because it adds up quick. But almonds are great. Now, another thing you can do, we have some popcorn here. So you want to keep in mind when you're buying popcorn that it's not too high calorie and it's not too much of a flavor. So this is just plain popcorn with a little added sea salt. 4 cups is the serving size. There's only 35 calories per cup. So not too bad. If you look at the back here, 8 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbs, 3 grams of that being fiber, and 2 grams of protein. So a little higher on fat, but you get a lot of volume here. So one serving size is 4 cups of this, 140 calories. So it's a lot of volume food. If you're in it to snack and you need something that's gonna last you for a while, popcorn is great. But just like I said, make sure you're buying a healthier version of it. So this is a pretty good brand here that I'll fall back on from time to time, and you can travel with it. Easy, volume foods, good to go, guys, good to go. Now, for the bodybuilders looking for that protein intake, check it out. We got ourselves some chunk light like tuna in a can. Literally just bring yourself a can opener, open this bad boy up, and with a fork, you're good to go, guys. No preparation required. And then maybe a little more convenient for you, we got these instant tuna packets in different flavors. We got lemon and pepper and hot buffalo. That one's my favorite, but the macros on these are actually pretty good. Look at this, only half a gram of fat, only 1 gram of carbs, half a gram of fiber, and 18 grams of protein in this pack. So 2 of these, guys, that's a meal. That is a meal. High protein, no carbs, no fat, dang near, and you are all set. So these travel great, guys. Essential when you're traveling. These are probably the most important thing, I would say, personally, to me. And then if fish isn't really your game, but you want some protein, you can also do some premium chicken breast in a can. Now let's look at the macros on this bad boy. 4 servings in the whole thing. So 4 grams of fat, we have 44 grams of protein, no carbs. That's it, guys. The only thing with this is the sodium's a little higher, so be on the lookout if you're watching your sodium intake. If you're drinking enough water, to me personally, it doesn't seem to make that much of a difference, but chicken in a can, guys, I mean, it doesn't really get much easier than this. So this travels just as well as the tuna. Easy to prepare, just open it up. And then the final thing, guys, I wanted to share with you for my travel snack list is going to be pure aminos. Now, you're not getting any calories out of this, but you guys know I fast in the mornings. You can dry scoop this. The serving size is actually pretty small with that scoop, so you can dry scoop it relatively easy. You don't have to mix it with water or anything. Boom, boom, boom. So if you're fasting, right, you don't even gotta eat. I feel like this needed an honorable mention as well. Love me some pure aminos. But anyways, guys, yeah, that is there anything I missed? Is there anything I missed? I don't, oh, almost forgot about raisins. Now, this is dry fruit, right? Now, you gotta keep in mind, this is gonna be mainly sugar here, but if your serving size is right and you're not going too crazy with it, this can be a nice source of simple carbohydrates that you can kind of pair with maybe a chicken, tuna, whatever. Get yourself a carb source and some micronutrients in there as well. So we look here, 120 calories per serving, 40 grams or a quarter of a cup, 2 grams of fiber, 24 grams of sugar. But once again, these are pretty inexpensive. You can travel with them, and if you got kids and they want something sweet, this is a better option than handing them a sucker or some candy, Skittles, something like that. Give them a more natural source of nutrients there. So guys, I think we covered everything. Now I guess it's time to see you off. All right, guys, let me show you the receipt real quick. Let's see if I can do this right. Boom, focus, there we go. It was only $29.57 for all those items. A couple things, I think the canned chicken breast I already had here, but other than that, everything else, and the Lenny and Larry's cookies, but that I got yesterday, and the little mini protein things, but I already have protein powder here. $29.57 for all that, so not too bad, right? That would feed an entire family on your way to wherever or whatever you're doing for the day, you know, be good to go. So hopefully you guys got some value out of that video. I wanted to go ahead and release a video. I know I'm at the Arnold this weekend and things are busy, but this was an easy video for me to make, and I still feel like it's jam-packed with some value for you guys, right? Even if you knew about all these things, and there's only one tiny little thing in that list that you're like, oh, I never thought about that, then my mission has been accomplished. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you like videos like this, right, and you want to see maybe more grocery hauls or grocery store trips, I haven't been doing those as much lately because I felt like I kind of covered all the bases with them, but I know we have a bunch of new subscribers that might have missed that content. So if you want to see that, you want to see me go to the store, what I buy, stuff like that, go ahead and comment below right now and let me know if you want to see more of that, and I'll make it happen. So yeah, guys, I think we're out of here. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Don't forget to hit that like button, as it helps me out a ton, lets me know which content people want to see. And with that, I am out of here. Thank you guys, as always, for your continuous support. If there's anything on this list that I didn't get that you personally lean on when you're traveling, on vacation, whatever you're doing, then comment below. I will talk to you guys later. As always, don't forget to smile, remain positive, and pay someone a compliment, because you never know whose day you could be making better. With that, I am out of here. This has been a Remington James production. I will see you guys at the next video. See you guys.